Speaking of floating on air, my first buy is Mascots Trucking Kids.
What? Bull Nuff alert. My last sale is Chupa Chup wrappers.
You're looking vibrant, relaxed, youthful.
Thank you. Yes, I don't feel any of those things, but
Neither do I. And I don't look at. Wow.
Oh God, we've gone full Nuffy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're back.
We are worldwide.
We are very worldwide.
We got, just personally, we've got Chris in Christchurch. I've got a Chris in Calgary. Avid listeners.
All the great.
They love it. It's worldwide, mate.
It is. And it doesn't matter what we're talking. If we're talking lawn bowls, hopscotch, AFL.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Everyone's into it. This is obviously episode 2 for the brand new season. We took a long hiatus, which the people weren't happy about, if we're being honest.
No, and look, I understand that, when
We've both got families.
Yeah, but I understand when you've tasted something so great, it's hard not to, get thirsty.
Well, I mean, that's why we did have a 3-month hiatus.
Exactly.
I like beer, and I had a lot. So, back off.
Back off, people. But no, it's great. And I'm very excited about this episode.
Yes, episode 2. This is a little bit different to the first episode we've dropped. AFL preview show. And a very, very big special guest, which you teed up in Sarah Olle from afl.com.au.
Yep, she's a star.
Yep.
And it's great to have her on.
Yep, so we will throw to her a little bit later on in the episode. But first, obviously, introduce yourselves. I'm Chris Bowen. You are Tim Buhagiar.
I am, and have been for quite a while.
Yeah, you have. A lot longer than me, as you are quite older than me. But footy's back, intra-clubs. It's, the birds chirping.
The liniment in the grass. The deep heat. The deep heat.
Footy's back.
I think it's going to be a super close. Throw a blanket over potentially 14 teams to get in the final 8. So
yeah,
it's going to be super competitive, and every game means something.
Yeah, and I touched on this in our conversation with Sarah Olle, and it does feel like there's like 5 to 7 teams you can actually throw a top 4 blanket, if a top 4 blanket existed, or top 4 duvet existed. You could throw them over, and you can make arguments for them.
It'd be cashmere, wouldn't it?
It would be. Bamboo. Sorry, bamboo cotton.
Okay.
It's bamboo cotton.
Yeah.
That's the yuppie. That's the yuppie stuff I've got.
Okay, very good.
So, but yeah, honestly, it will be a close season. I think we're obviously going to get into a bunch of the predictions, all the sexy awards. But last year when we did this, we didn't actually go through each individual team, and because we have such a large listener base,
yeah, exactly.
We had people from we had Rick from Glenelg, a diehard Crows supporter, who was like, "Well, why aren't you talking about the Crows?"
Yeah.
Tommy from Tooradin, saying while there's negativity about St Kilda, that's actually a real person from SEN.
It was a stolen name. Disgruntled
might have to
listeners.
beep that one out. So we'll go through each team.
Yeah, quick fire, rapid fire.
Yep.
Why not? And then put it all in
where?
a pretty little bow. Yeah.
Put a little pretty little bow on it. So we will jump into that now. And we'll start with the City of Churches. For Rick from Glenelg will be happy.
Yep.
The Crows. Can they win? Yes, no.
No. They're, for me, one of the few sides that I can lock in missing the top 8. Mm-hmm. And I reckon they're just irrelevant purgatory at the moment. Like they're
in a nothing zone.
Yeah, and it's a real bad spot to be in because it deprives you of hope as a supporter. But massive year for Knicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Walker, Sloan might be their last seasons. It's just, I just can't see them. They're just not going to be competitive with the other bigger, more powerful clubs who have better lists and whatnot. So, eek.
Yeah, that's where I sort of see it. You've got the guys like Yerushali, Berry, Saligo, Fogarty. These guys are all like young,
Yeah.
They're still, 1 to 2 years probably from hitting their stride, but I don't know if that stride is like...
No, they're just...
It doesn't feel like this is our next premiership team kind
Correct.
of a core, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they've got to me, their list build's very St Kilda-ish in terms of it's built to...
That's harsh.
It's probably built to be competitive, but it's not built to win a flag. I just can't see it. So, no, I think they comfortably miss out on the 8.
Yeah, I've got them in the 11 to 14 because I do think there's still...
Yeah, they're not going to finish bottom.
Yeah, there's still enough juice in that lemon.
Yeah.
So, 11 to 14, probably 11 to probably... That'd probably be a successful season if they get there.
I think so with their list, yeah.
But there you go, Rick. Brisbane.
Yeah, I really like Brisbane. I really like the way they recruited Dunkley in the midfield with Neil, Ashcroft in there. He's got a protection, like big body Dunkley's got to protect Ashcroft. Yep. Ashcroft's going to do what he does. Gunston, as I sort of mentioned with Ollie a bit later, he's just a different look to...
Probably one of the most underrated free agents.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that forward line is going to be unbelievable. Their midfield unbelievable. The knock is the back line, but I think if they can, if you're winning clearances and you're locking the ball in your forward 50, you can rely on a good team defense to get you through. So I think they're definitely top 4 for me.
Yeah, no, same here. They definitely can win it. I've got them in the 1 to 4 spot.
Yeah.
The defense, I feel the exact same, but their midfield's so elite, their forward line's so elite, they're gonna bludgeon most teams. Where it's like it's kind of a band-aid. Where do you sit on Harris Andrews? Because I've heard a lot of different sides to this debate.
Well, he's all Australian. He has been all Australian. He didn't have an all Australian year last year, though.
No,
I think he needs to be all Australian again.
Yeah.
For them to win the premiership, which I think he can be.
I think he's a very good footballer and deservedly an all Australian.
Yeah.
When I watched him a little bit last year, I felt like he was too punch heavy, if that makes sense.
Okay, it's more defensive minded. Needed to be a little bit more.
Yeah, when you think of these game changing backmen, right?
Yeah.
What aspect of their game are you thinking of?
Intercept marking.
Intercept marking is like where the game
winning 1-on-1s.
Yeah, you McGovern's, Alir.
Yep.
These guys,
your Darcy Moores, your Wiederings.
These guys genuinely alter games. They take games away from teams.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that part, and I don't even know if that's a big part of his game, but it just felt like to me that he was almost shutting that off.
Yeah, and that might have been just a direction he was told to. It might be a.
You heard it here first. Chris Fagan allegedly told him not to intercept mark.
So look, if he has a great year, if he has an All Australian year, Brisbane are going to be super hard to beat for the flag.
Yep. No, well said. Carlton. This is going to be a hard one for you to answer.
No, I'm 2 eyes. And both eyes are
one's black, one's white.
Yeah, and both eyes are worn out from watching that last round 23 game last year.
I will remember you.
They've got one of the best lists in the comp for me. If they miss out on the 8 again, I mean, they have to make it.
Yeah.
If they don't, blow up Royal Park.
Yeah,
it's over.
You should probably blow it up anyway.
I just can't. I can't see them missing. Zach Williams out hurts clearly because he's an elite player, but they've got so much depth and their spine's so good. And you've got 2 Coleman medalists and a Brownlow medalist running around,
and Sam Walsh.
How do they not make it? I don't know how they don't make the 8.
I mean, there is, 100%. I mean, Heath in Lowell Plenty right now is listening to this in his car and he's punching the shit out of his steering wheel, listening to this going, I know how we missed the 8. It's like I've fucking witnessed it every year. If Sam Walsh has a uninterrupted preseason, full run at it, full bill of health, he's your pick for the Brownlow.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was last year, but
yeah.
Or he would have been, but he's had an interrupted one again.
That's what I mean.
He just can't get it right, yeah. he's good enough to make up for not doing a preseason. But imagine if he had one.
That's what I mean. So
exactly.
I've got them. Where do I have them? 5 to 8, and that's
I'd say 4 to 8 for me. I reckon they can make the top 4.
I think they 100% can make the top 4. It's also one of those things like it's in their DNA to do this.
Yep.
So
we shall see.
I would be devastated. I'd be utterly devastated if they had a really good year again and somehow managed to not make the finals. I would be really upset if that happened.
Honestly, though, with putting my neutral hat on, when Carlton are
great
up
for the AFL.
It's unbelievable. Their supporter base is unbelievable, and when they're up and going, the sleeping giant awakens, and good God, they make noise, and they are super passionate, and they are just starved of success. So
they're hungry,
so hungry. So,
do you feel the same way about Essendon? I know we're jumping ahead in terms of their fan base. Like,
yeah, I do. I actually think Carlton are probably a bit more passionate.
Yeah,
but hard to say because both fans have not seen a final.
Both fans are malnourished.
They are, exactly. So we'll get on to them.
Collingwood.
I'm bullish. Last year I wasn't. Last year I thought we'd finish bottom 4. This year I think we are a genuine chance at finishing top 4. And it's not because I get everyone saying we had so many close wins, fluky, you can't do that again. But I just think natural improvement will mean that we'll win. Because a lot of those games we should have won by more, but we just, for some reason, just got in our heads that a close game is a good game. So, with the addition of Tom Mitchell in the midfield, I think he's going to smash the clearances. McStay's that extra big body. I really like Hill. I just think recruiting plus natural progression, second year under Fly, learning the game plan. I'm quite bullish on us. I think, again, I'd be like Carlton, I think 4 to 8 for Collingwood.
I've actually gone the opposite direction, right? And this is my honest opinion.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what we're here for.
I don't think you can win. I don't think you can win the flag.
Okay.
Because that's the way I've answered the question, right? So
true.
I've got teams here who I've got. So I've got Collingwood in 6 to 9.
Okay, fair.
So do I think you're going to make the finals? There's a
big chance.
More likely than not.
Yep.
I don't think you can make the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I am an analytic guy. I'm a numbers guy.
That's what you do.
And I saw this happen with Port Adelaide a few years ago.
Yep.
Right? We had this exact thing. Not to the extent where Collingwood we didn't do as many, but we had all these close games which we just found a way to win.
Yeah.
And that put us in the top 4. And then obviously we got smashed in the prelim. Thanks for going into that memory bank again, Chris. Attaboy. And then we saw what happened when those games don't go your way. So I think you're going to win enough games.
I mean, the difference between Collingwood didn't get smashed in any final. In fact, they were super competitive. But no, I understand. I as I said, I totally understand the point of view of too many close games.
Yes.
Because
you only need 3 of those
to go the other way.
Exactly.
No, 100%. So it's if you said we missed the 8 by a game or 2, I wouldn't be surprised. But
good luck. I hope you go all the way.
Yep. No, thank you. I know you don't mean that.
Speaking about teams that I want to go all the way, Essendon.
Yeah, I mean, last year I tipped them top 4. I don't know why.
That's right.
I had a real mare with them.
We're real good at this.
We are great. No, Brad Scott will add a bit, but
yeah, but like from the jump, like that's going to take time.
Yeah, exactly. He'll add a bit, but not this year. I think I've got them as one of the 5 teams that can't make finals.
Yeah. I also have said that they can't win the flag, and my reason why is because you need to win a final in order to win a premiership. So
they haven't done since 2004, I think.
If David Hill grew a beard, the beard would have been touching the ground. So something like that.
It's a big beard.
Yeah, because he played ruck, for those who aren't aware, for Essendon fans who forget. So they haven't won a final in a long time. So, yeah, they won't win one this year either.
No, I'd have them like that 9 to 14.
10 to 13.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think they've got an easy draw.
Yeah, they do. And
they'll bet up on like a St Kilda, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, those sort of areas.
Yeah, they are competitive, but I just again, getting the game plan under Scott will take some time, I think.
Yep, agreed. Fremantle.
I've actually got Freo slipping out of the 8.
I have them slipping out of the 4.
I just think they did sacrifice a fair bit of depth to get Big Boy Jackson. And an injury or two could really hurt them. I actually, and I just, I love, as much as I love Brayshaw, and I'm sure he'll be next captain if he hasn't already been announced, and he'll be an absolute superstar of the comp. But yeah, my gut just tells me they'll be the team that, 2 or 3 teams have to drop out of the 8. I think they're going to be one of them.
Agreed. I know when we did the trade period show last year, we sort of, I think we both said that Rory Lobb to Western Bulldogs is kind of a, like, what? That's nothing to do with him as a player. Like, he had
he's a fine player.
Yeah, had a great year, 40-odd goals. Jai Amos is a young forward who has a lot of potential, high pick.
Yep.
Showed a little bit, but had like some injuries.
Yep.
I think he will be better than Rory Lobb, but next year I don't think I don't. So that's 45, 50 goals.
You take away and then you take away the 2 boys that went to North.
Taberner's not.
And then you got like Akers off the wing. Like they just sacrificed a fair bit of depth to get.
Yeah.
And so I just think they'll bounce back clearly, but I just think next year, this year is the year that they'll fall away a bit.
Yeah, I have them 4 to 7, but I have said that they can win the flag, despite what I said about Collingwood, just because of the fact that their midfield is good enough, and I think their back 6 as a group is one of the most underrated. But this is the depth is the big issue.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
because like the Logue, Tucker, Akers had a really good year.
Yeah.
They're not names where you're like, oh shit, he killed us today. But
but the depth.
But you need that. Like it just
you're only as good as
game
you're only
now.
as good as you're sort of 18 to 22 player, really.
Yeah.
I think that's my gut feel on them.
Yep. Geelong, this might be the quickest one.
Yeah, top 4. Too many games at home. Recruited well. Selwood's a loss, but they'll cover him easy.
Yeah, they won a premiership like 5 months ago. So yeah, I've got them 1 to 4.
Same.
Yeah. They're humming. Gold Coast.
Yeah, if not now, when for them? For me, like it's like, come on, Ben King's back.
Yeah.
Took Miller could be Brownlow medalist in waiting. Noah Anderson, Rao, my boy Rao. Come on, Rao. Let's get some tricks to you.
I feel like a big year for him.
Yeah, I feel like too. I think he was really disappointing last year.
Yeah, I feel like he's been worked out.
Yeah, one paced and needs some tricks.
Needs some,
but they got
he's good enough to get him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can't question his work ethic. So they've just got so much talent. But of all the years to be like, this is a year that's going to be so hard to make the 8, and they're going to have to really earn it. But I can't see them making the 8.
Yeah, I don't have them winning. I don't think they can win the flag, but I have them at 8 to 11.
Yeah, I'd have them. Yeah, I'd have them like 7 to 11.
Yeah, and I mean the pure reason losing Rankin hurts because he had a great year.
Yeah.
But they've got some very good young players.
Yeah.
King coming back is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Witts might be one of the most underrated players in the AFL.
Absolutely. Collingwood let him go for a bag of chips and
not a good like a Coles or Bilo Franklin's home brand.
They weren't Smiths. So he's you're right. Oh, he's captain. Was captain or co-captain, but
one of them.
He's definitely in the leadership group.
Yeah,
but he's a great.
Allegedly.
He's a very good player. So I think. Oh look, they've got all the tools there. It's just whether they can actually get it done.
Yep. GWS.
I can't see him making finals again. A bit of the Brad Scott with Kingsley in terms of just first year. They lost a lot of fucking depth again. Taranto and Hopper and I love that Cameron. I love that Green is now the standalone captain. Yeah. That's great. He's Toby Green, like he's top 5 player in the comp. Freak show.
Genuine.
I think Cornelio will have a bounce back year. I think the weight of captaincy off his shoulders. He's injury free.
I think a good year last year, didn't he?
He's okay.
Yeah,
he's okay. I don't think he was
not at his
best.
He's yeah.
So having said all that, I think a bit like Freo for me, it's like sort of 7 to 12, that kind of space. I can't see him making the finals though.
I'm probably going to come across as a little bit harder on them, which is going to come across weird because Adam Kingsley is
he's your boy.
He's my personal friend.
Yeah.
Which he would disagree with, but
we're going to get him on the pod next week.
Yeah. For me, what they did in the trade period, I think, was truly indicative of I guess where they probably see themselves.
Yeah.
They're like Gold Coast had to pay all of these guys X amount of money
just to stay. Yeah.
Just to stay. What's the saying that the crows have come home to roost or whatever.
Yep.
And they've obviously had to ship out Taranto, Hopper, these guys who are on big money who you would not get rid of.
No, of course not. Ordinarily, you'd do everything you could to keep them.
Yeah,
they're
getting into that rebuilding phase.
Yeah, it's a hard one because they can't afford to rebuild in that market, but they are. What did you say? What was your range again?
My reason I said rebuilding phase.
Yeah.
And I genuinely had it 14 to 17.
Yeah, okay. I reckon. I said 7, but no, don't say that. I'm going to say 10 down.
Yeah.
I think 17. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Mm. But as you said, how competitive it is.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's going to have to eat a shit sandwich.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they didn't play a practice game also kind of indicative, where they're like, we're completely stripping everything back and we're trying to drill in this message.
Yeah.
And we need we need all the time we can get.
Yeah.
Not saying anything wrong with that approach. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I think these practice games are a wank fest.
It depends what you want out of them.
Yeah.
So you're right. If you're hell-bent on just getting the game plan right and not worrying about opposition, then why play a game?
Why bother? You're just literally risking injury and spending some of the club's flight budget. Hawthorn.
Yeah, bottom 4.
Rebuilding.
Everyone knows it. Moving on.
Yeah. Melbourne.
Yeah, massive on Melbourne. Top 4 for me. I think they'll have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, both as a club, but also players within there like Grundy.
Yeah.
That midfield. Oof, it's scary. For me, the knock on them is still their forward line. If Ben Brown goes down or McDonald goes down, they're just lacking that structure. So that's my only thing with them, but I think they'll be very hard to beat.
I have them finishing on top, and I have 2 through 6 being super tight.
Yeah,
like I think Melbourne will be one. Will be sort of one game clear and like a good percentage clear, sort of for the whole season.
Yeah, for me they're a lockety lock for top 4.
Yeah, agreed. And Grundy gone at full strength.
Well, I don't know if we're going to get Gawn at full strength anymore. I think that's a big reason why they went so hard on Grundy. But I think Gawn pinch hitting, like Grundy loves that.
Yeah,
playing as much ruck time as he can. So if it's even at 70-30, you're pinch hitting with one of the best ruckmen in the comp.
It's stupid.
Stupid.
Yeah, absolutely stupid. Speaking of stupid, North Melbourne.
Last.
Yeah.
Or Hawthorn.
No, they're finishing last.
Okay.
I obviously said no, they can't win the premiership. And the reason why is no members. So yeah, I think that's probably about the amount of time we need to spend on North Melbourne. Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Give me something.
Oh, well, I mean, they've got a super list.
Thank you.
Again, this feels like it's now or never a little bit. Like, Boakey can't keep doing what he's been doing. Charlie Dixon, when's he finish up? What's going on with him? I don't know. You've recruited well, obviously with the Horn, but for me, you're one of those teams like a Carlton, a Collingwood, really could go either way. Top 8, just out of the 8.
Yeah. I have said, yes, we can win the premiership.
Of course.
And the reason why is because I need it for my mental health.
Well, let's not just rely on that for your mental health then.
Yeah. So it's finishing spot 4 to 7.
Yeah, I would. No, I don't think they'll finish top 4. I'd say 5 to 10.
Yep, fair enough. That's a nice, big, wide gap to land in.
It is.
Richmond.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Yeah, I think they're going to be good. I think it's a bit of that sort of last roll of the dice for your Cochin and Rewalt. They've brought in some troops. Lynch, it was amazing to see
some mercenaries.
Yes. It was amazing to see seeing Lynch fit made you realise how unfit how injured he'd been.
Yeah.
Prior to last season, I reckon.
Yeah.
He's a gun. He's a man mountain. If he's fit, throw in Dusty, throw in Taranto, throw in Hopper. Bolton's a freak. They've just got a lot of talent. Again, their depth's good. I think they're a lock for top 8. Where they finish in there could be, for me, it could be one. For me, it's probably 4 to 8.
Yeah,
but I think they're in there.
I went no, they can't win because I need it for my mental health, and the finishing spot is 9th. So that's where we are on Richmond.
And none of that was personal.
Nothing is personal. Speaking of personal, St Kilda.
Yeah, Ross the boss, welcome back.
Welcome back. Here's your troops.
Well, yeah, here's your. As I said, they're like, for me,
someone say shit sandwich.
Their list. This is why I'm quite genuinely surprised that Ross Lyon took this job on, because I think their list is nowhere. It's very one pace. I've said this last year as well. They need to blow. I'm surprised they didn't blow it up more in the off season, like Trader Billings or
Hunter Clark. Like North Melbourne went hard as for Hunter Clark.
Like just do that kind of stuff because I think they're a little bit delusional as to where their list is at potentially, but they're not making the top 8.
No,
and with Max King, arguably they're probably their top 3 player, having a shocking preseason and injured or whatever it is.
Yeah,
good luck. No.
Yep. No, I've said no. Ross Lyon, great football coach.
I agree. I really like Ross.
And the nostalgia with him bringing back all the legends. Yeah, that's nice. But I mean, if Rome wasn't built in a day, then it might take them a decade to rebuild St Kilda. So
yeah, and
thanks.
It's nearly been a century since they've won a flag.
That feels like a long time.
Yeah,
I don't know how their supporters put up with it. Sydney.
Yeah, so this for me is a really interesting one because the history, just going on history of teams that get their pants pulled down in a grand final is not good.
Do you have any comparisons to use?
Funny you ask. I would say like in 2007.
Unmentionables. Unmentionables.
2018 was sorry, not 2018. 2019 Giants getting smashed by Richmond. It's just the pattern is there, but the outlier, I suppose, is that Sydney have got a very good list, very talented list, very young. If anything, they overachieved.
I think Sydney's list is better than Port Adelaide in 2007 and better than GWS in 2019.
Absolutely, potentially. I do worry, I just...
Forward is a bit...
Yeah, Buddies probably shouldn't have hung on.
Yeah.
Again, McDonald...
Hasn't come on like they thought they would. Very, very talented.
Very talented, and I think he just needs Buddy to go to get that.
I agree.
So I was very surprised
it hasn't helped. Yeah.
They could make the top 4. They could finish 12th, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Zero chance they finish 12th.
Well,
I would put my non-existent home loan on that they wouldn't.
As I said, just the pattern of teams who had their pants pulled down. We'll see.
If they finish 12th, I'll pull my pants down.
Please don't. Yeah. So please win, Sydney.
West Coast.
Yeah, this is my smoky team to make the 8.
Yeah, they got Jai Cully, and you're like, fuck it, that's it. The rebuild's over.
Yeah, it's for me, they just absolutely cracked the shits with COVID. Their little Cottesloe bubble was popped and they didn't like it.
Sounds nice, to be honest.
It's a wonderful place. The hub, they hated the hub, and then obviously last year the West copped COVID later than the East Coast, and it affected.
Try not to make a Western Australia behind everything.
Exactly. So look, I think they've got too much talent on the list. I think they were admittedly, now they're saying they were unfit last year. I think they're much fitter.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Elliot Yeo. He's back.
Yo.
Yeah, they're my smoky. I mean, I don't think they're definitely going to make the 8, but if you said who's your smoky team to make the 8, that's them.
Yeah. I do feel like these like the Yos, Shuey, all of these guys, they were too good. They were too good to have a drop off like that, and then to not be some kind of bounce back.
Yeah,
like there was no way that they were very, very obvious fitness. Absolutely, fucking
shot
ruined them.
Yeah,
so there's still a little bit in the tank there. The only reason why I could, and I don't agree with you. I don't think they can win. I don't think they'll make the finals.
No, I don't think they can win the flag.
But the only reason why I think that they might not necessarily be in a complete, full, blow it up, rebuild mindset, Adam Simpson's still coaching.
Exactly.
I feel like he probably...
He would have gone to North or whoever...
100%.
There's heaps of offers out there for him, but he stayed the course. Yeah, so, for me, I think Collingwood went second bottom to fourth. I think West Coast, it's not out of the rounds for them to be sniffing at the 8.
Good luck to them. And last, we have the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, they're a bit like the Bible. The Bulldogs are very hard to read. I would say, again, they'll be put... Again, I feel like they're in that Port Adelaide, Carlton, Collingwood situation where they're going to be in an absolute war to finish in the top 8. Yeah,
and there's going to be some teams who are going to come into the 8 and they're going to be battered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they've got, again, a lot of talent. Hopefully Bevo's a bit more cheerier this year. Like he had shit on the liver from the start of the year last year. He was combative, not just
to the media,
but even just he was just
He
just felt like he was a bit angry. Yeah, a bit grumpy. So I like to see Bevo when he's happy.
They're a weird one for me. I think I've gone yes, they can win the flag, but I've also got them in 5 to 8.
Yeah.
Nothing would surprise me with them. Genuinely, nothing would surprise me. There's enough elite players there.
They were just they were just too bursty. Like like that final against Freo, they get on a 40-point lead and then they just fucking let it go. And you're like, what's just happened here?
How has this happened? Yeah,
so they've got the talent to be super competitive with the best teams, but
I'm worried about the keys. Like there's too many tall chefs in the forward kitchen.
I think Bruce is sort of like fighting it with a Keith in the back line. I think you got Darcy.
That's not great.
Darcy, Ugelhagen, Ugel, Bugle. I think their forward line's going to be good and their midfield's good.
Yeah. I would love to see Norton play centre half back.
Yeah, that would mean.
And Sam Darcy up forward.
Yeah, I mean, it might happen. It sounds like Bruce has been training back line, so I'd say we'll probably see him back.
Which, to be fair to Josh Bruce, I like Josh Bruce, but I think that's the only spot for him.
Yeah,
he came back last year, and he was.
No, he wasn't the same. Unfortunately, he had
wasn't the same.
His knees when you're a big boy like that, they do hurt.
Yeah, he that's it. Looked like a Bible. The Roadside Motel lost. So. Yeah, so they can definitely win it, but they also could finish like 12th, 13th.
Yeah, they're a real hard to read. Yeah,
I feel like Bevo's. Last year I said Chris Fagan is one of those coaches where I could see them moving on from. I could see them.
Well, they just re-signed him.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, not just as in they did it during the off season. I'm pretty sure they added a couple
Finger
of
on the pulse as per usual.
Well, yeah, when teams like that who are struggling for coin do that, it's very hard for them to make those decisions without.
St Kilda says hello.
Yes. Yeah. So, look, if they have a bad start and they start losing, that I'm sure they probably will pull the trigger. But yeah,
Yep. That was a good little summary.
I hope so. Yeah. As I said, it's super close. Jesus, like we're going to be made to look like geniuses or idiots.
I know which one we're going to be made.
And probably, I agree, genius.
Yeah, but so we're going to look stupid.
Yeah.
But probably a really good time for us to send it over to someone who is absolutely not stupid.
Going to lift us.
And we will send it over to our chat with afl.com.au's Sarah Olle.
All right, well, 2023 promises to be one of the most exciting AFL seasons we've seen in a long time off the back of a super exciting 2022. And joining us to talk through it is AFL.com. Is it AFL.com? Or she can tell us.
.au. Don't forget the .au.
.au's, I would say the biggest star. It's Sarah Olle. G'day, Ollie.
Hello, Budge. Hello, Chris. A special hello to you, Budge, because you are an old friend. So more than happy to jump on.
Thank you. We do appreciate your time. And I want to cut a deal with you straight up. I won't mention the grand final if you don't mention the prelim final.
Well, I'd like to say you've got yourself a deal, but we might have to mention both of them at some point in this podcast. Really relive some not so trauma. Great memories.
Yeah, really thanks for coming on. We want to, as I said, it's a preview for the AFL season. So we'll hook right into it. In your mind, leading into the season, what's the biggest story? What are we looking out for? What's caught your attention?
Well, one of the big stories is off the field, and it's who's going to replace Gill. This has been, a longer farewell tour than John Farnham could lay claim to. And I think the longer it's gone on, the more it's almost made Gill seem like he's irreplaceable. He does have a very wide skill set. He's so charismatic and has done so much for the game. And he is going to leave come gather round. So that is round 5, when everyone will descend on the City of Churches, being Adelaide, and play every match there. That is something that still hasn't been resolved. And even if you think under him, Brad Scott hasn't been replaced either. So there's some pretty big vacancies to fill when it comes to AFL House. Of course, something that's also still waiting to drop is the Hawthorn racism probe. I'm not sure when that's meant to drop. Kind of surprised it hasn't yet, what the consequences will be there when it comes to Hawthorn, whether there'll be any personal kind of ramification for two of the protagonists, for lack of a better term there, when it comes to Alistair Clarkson and Chris Fagan, who are still coaching. There's plenty to play out there. Tasmania, massive as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm really looking forward to Gather Round. This is something that has kind of been stolen, I guess, off the NRL. They've got their magic round.
They stole State of Origin, so we're still in Gather Round.
Yeah, stuff them. Yes, stuff them. But I think that will be fun. And I think, the AFL season is long, but I don't mind adding that extra round. Will you guys be getting over there?
I won't be. I would like to, but for work reasons, I can't.
Yeah, and I love competitive footy, and we're playing St Kilda, so I think that I'll just skip it and just watch the W at home.
I do.
Oh, poor St Kilda.
Yeah, this is not a very strong St Kilda supporting podcast, unfortunately. So the 3 St Kilda members who, if they do tune into this, they don't usually enjoy what we say. But just going back to Gill, the longer this goes on, the more likely we are going to get some real outlandish names like. In the NFL, the Cleveland Browns had Condoleezza Rice as a head coaching, applicant at one point, and she's gone from politics to the NFL. Who could you see as a real left field, like Peter Garrett, maybe? Just someone that sort of we're not thinking who might come into AFL House and, jump on AFL Daily with you one day.
Well, there was some talk the other day with Tony Cochrane stepping down from the Gold Coast Suns that he could be a potential person to replace Gill, and he would certainly bring a flamboyant style leading the AFL. I don't think it's going to be him. I'm actually not really sure there are any left field candidates, if I'm being completely honest with you. And it feels like it's probably going to be an internal appointment the more this drags on. And Andrew Dillon is the name that keeps coming up. Who would you like to see in the role, do you reckon?
Well, Andrew Dillon's a left-hander and I'm a left-hander, so we actually did a thing on it was Fox in 20 I think it must have been 2013. It was like left-handed round. It was like a fake
Sure.
AFL round, and we celebrating left-handers and left footers. And for some reason, the boss at the time knew that Andrew Dillon was a left-hander, so we made up a left is he got the left is right scholarship, and that's how he got into AFL House. He's actually quite a character. So even though he doesn't have like he's I suppose a bit of a monotone, quiet sort of dude, he is quite a character behind closed doors. I'd imagine. So I feel like he'd be a popular pick. He's been there for Yonkers.
Yeah, I think he'd be a very popular pick.
Yeah,
I'd like Tom Harley. I think Tom Harley would be a very good pick. Every time he talks, I just find myself just feeling like safe and enjoying what he says.
just nestled.
Yeah, everything he says just seems to be good.
I reckon he is the nicest CEO in Clubland. And I say this because I was meant to have a phone call, like a Zoom conversation with Tom Harley. It was probably about a year ago. I was up in Sydney for the week and I couldn't arrange a face-to-face interview, but he'd set some time aside for a Zoom interview like we're doing right now. And I was out and about and my phone died and I just completely buggered up the timings and essentially forgot that I had this Zoom interview with Tom Harley, the Swan CEO. And I get back home and I put the phone on the charger. My phone is lighting up like a Christmas tree. I'm getting all these messages and all these missed calls from the Swans media team being like, you've essentially stood up our CEO.
You stood up a premiership player.
And you're a Swans fan as well.
I did. I'm a Swans fan. So I was mortified. And when I got onto him finally, he just laughed and he said, don't worry, these things happen. And he was such a good sport about it. So you're right. I get what you mean by he's like, feel like cuddly around him, don't you? And I feel like every time he's interviewed, he is impressive because I don't ever find him being very defensive. I think he just kind of says says how it is.
He seems to me to be the guy who's got the like a charisma on par almost with Gill. You know what I mean? Like if it's a charisma thing that's stopping the internal appointments at the moment, he's definitely one who can match Gill in that sort of area, I reckon. So not a bad shout.
Operator.
Yeah,
I
good
like
shout,
it. I
Chris.
like it.
Well done, Chris. You're due.
Yeah. Now let's move into teams. So each year there's always a surprise team, a team that will completely fall from where they were and rise. I was right with the rise. I said Fremantle was going to be that team. So stick taps to me because it was the only thing I got right. First off, who is the team for you that is just going to explode this year that no one sees coming, but that, you know, just not people didn't expect to see them do this well?
Well, as you say, it's usually two teams fall out and two teams rise up. Occasionally it's been three lately, just with the evenness of the competition. I think your team, Chris, and I'm saying that because I can see the power on that top of yours. I think they're going to have a good season and bounce back into the 8. I mean, if you take away the first 6 rounds of last year, they had a pretty good season still. So
exactly what I've been saying.
Yeah, and I think their percentage was still pretty strong. Percentage seems to be an indicator of teams that perhaps will rise or fall. And that's why I'm interested to see your side, Budge, and to see what happens with them. Because as we know, their percentage, it didn't really reflect a percentage of a preliminary final team. But your team still found a way to win.
No, it's true.
So I'm interested.
Yeah, Collingwood had so many close finishes, which obviously affected the percentage. So could go either way, Collingwood season. I agree.
And just on a team that I reckon could do anything, and that's bomb or win the flag, it's Richmond. I'm struggling to get my head around this side. They've gone all chips in and getting Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper from the Giants. I live with a Richmond fan, my partner, and he was like, when they got the 2 Giants boys, are they any good? And I'm like, yeah, like a lot of people don't get how good these players can be because they're a bit off Broadway, the Giants. So
especially Taranto.
Who knows?
He's a genuine superstar.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was going to say especially Hopper because his knees hurt him, but he is a bloody gun in the middle as well. So yeah.
And then who knows what Dustin Martin's going to do? He barely played last year, so who knows if he comes back in and can have some kind of season as well. A lot of it all depends on Tom Lynch. I feel like if he gets injured, Richmond are in a little bit of trouble. But they're a side that I've got a massive watch on. I'm just not really sure what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, good call.
I hope it's a bomb, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it being a bomb. So let's pray for that one. And who are your teams?
I actually think West Coast are going to make the 8.
I don't even think they want. Do they even want to make the 8?
No, I think they are. I think they had. They just struggled with COVID so bad. Like they just had absolute meltdowns for both COVID years. They were unfit last year. They've still got a lot of stars. Like Tim Kelly had a stinking year. They all had shocking years. Yo's back. He's fit. I reckon. I don't want to give away my surprise all Australian, but I think Oscar Allen will have a really good season with Josh Kennedy there. Someone's going to stand up. I don't know. It's just a gut feel. It's not based on anything other than that.
Well, they're coming off their worst season of all time, so it can't get worse for West Coast.
Exactly. What about you, Chris?
I don't even know if it was. It definitely doesn't come with the same conviction as I had Fremantle last year, but I think Gold Coast makes the finals more so because I actually talk about being safe, and when someone talks, I love Stuart Dew with maybe too much of my heart, and I feel like he needs success, or he might be finding himself on seek.com.au. So I think this is the year they make it. Like they lost Rankin, but they've got enough young kids. Ben King's come back. Noah Anderson's a superstar who took a massive leap last year. It has to happen eventually, right?
You'd think so. You'd think so.
You hope so.
The problem is for them, it's so competitive though, right? Like it's going to be so hard to get in the 8.
I mean, even Carlton last season, they had 12 wins. Ordinarily, that gets you into the finals. And of course, we know what happened in that round 23 match.
We can go through that if you want.
I mean, they had 12 wins, the Coleman medalists and the Brownlow medalists, and they missed out on the finals. I mean, it's a shame. You hate to see it.
Yeah, they had a few things go wrong at the wrong time of the season, but they have to play finals this year. It's not even a question for me. Like they are playing finals. There is no other way. They are playing finals, and really, they should be aiming for a top 4 finish. The Blues.
Their list is great. I agree.
Yeah, they were the only team to be in the 8 for the entire season, except for the last round. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Crazy stat, which I just had to repeat.
Again, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
Moving to maybe individual awards. We'll start with the Coleman medal. Is there this is always a bit hard to predict as well. Who are you leaning towards?
Well, I referenced him earlier, and if he stays fit, I think Tom Lynch is going to be hard to beat. I think he averaged the most goals last year. He just missed a few too many games, and it meant that he missed all Australian selection. And I'm not sure where he finished in the Coleman, but he was still up there. And of course, he won a best and fairest last year, so he had a great season for Richmond. He just wasn't out there enough. I think if he's out there, and if Richmond are going to bat deep into September, then he will be kicking bags of goals. But as you say, it's hard to look past the Blue Boys as well, isn't it? I mean, if Charlie doesn't get you, Harry will. And I think they're both coming off really positive pre-seasons. And I can't really remember the last time both of them were coming off positive pre-seasons. So they're going to be formidable up forward for the Blues. Do you guys have any ones that perhaps aren't so obvious? I mean, Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins, they're pretty hard to overlook as well.
Well, I mean, when we did this last year, I said Bailey Fritsch. So full disclosure, I work in the gambling industry, so I like people with a bit of value. And Bailey Fritsch had a little bit of value last year. I think he came 3rd or 4th. He's a significant price to win it again this year. So I mean, he's a guy who's kicked, I think, 55, 59 goals the last 2 years. Melbourne definitely weren't where they were, in that premiership year. They've reloaded, and I think that they're the ones to beat. So, I mean, you could see him kick. His floor is 2 goals. Anyone who can just kick 2 goals effortlessly and not really have much of an impact on the game.
Yeah.
It's hard to look away. So I'm sticking to the man with Lego hair.
Yeah. I mean, I said Max King last year. I think he's injured, and it's interrupted preseasons don't go well for blokes built like him either. Maybe Ben King will have if we think Gold Coast will go well. I don't know. He's missed a lot of footy as well. It's a hard one. It's hard to look past the big boys that you've mentioned, I reckon.
It is, and it's kind of fun when the big boys are up and firing, I reckon.
Yeah,
I feel like perhaps for a time there it was all about, the mosquito fleets and everything, but it's nothing better when a big forward kind of takes the game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah,
so I'm all
kicks
for
a
it.
bag, and it's really good. It is really good.
As someone who used to be that in Division 3 reserves for 22 games, minus the bags, but yeah, I know what you mean. There's nothing better when the chest puffed out, like Jonathan Brown. Even though I hate Brisbane, more than most teams, seeing Jonathan Brown at the start of a game was dead set. You get shivers down your spine because he just looked like he was ready to die or kill someone. And big key forwards, so much better than small forwards. Small forwards are trash.
Dime a dozen.
Let's jump into the rising star. Now, last year's rising star was, honestly, you could have given him the medal before he laced up a game. Nick Dacos was the favourite and won pretty comprehensively. Is there someone? Is this going to happen again with Ashcroft, or is Brisbane's midfield too stacked for him to really do that?
Yeah, intriguing to see how Ashcroft goes this year. He's been compared more to a Sam Walsh. That's the kind of prototype he is, and I think he definitely debut. Yeah, I know, not bad. I think he'll definitely come in round one, and I would have thought that he would be favourite. You might know a bit more than me when it comes to that, though, Chris.
Same areas,
I mean, I really like Lucas Sam Darcy. We saw him at the end of last year for the Western Bulldogs just do some special things. I don't know where he's going to play, and this is one of the interesting talking points at the Western Bulldogs is traditionally under Luke Beveridge they've had a plethora of mids, and now it's kind of the opposite. They've got talls just coming out of their backsides at either end, and it's going to be interesting to see how they use a Sam Darcy because he's shown that he can play at either end. There's also a kid that's just gone to North Melbourne called Harry Sheasel, who's just this preseason, he's done a few special little things. So
looks pretty good.
I don't mind having, maybe have a bit of a throw at the stumps at a Harry Sheasel. But this is a race that perhaps might be a little bit more wide open than last year because, I mean, how good was it watching Dacos last year, Budge? You guys are so lucky
I know.
to have not one, but 2 of them.
And he kicked a goal from 60 in the intra club, and I only watched it 25 times before I just had to get the phone taken away from me.
You're a sicko.
Special talent. What do you guys think? Maybe that's a good segue to our Brownlow prediction.
Well, I was going to say I had a very obscure rising star, which I wanted to get the opinions on. I've gone Finn Callahan, very high pick, GWS.
For the Giants.
Had some injury concerns, but we talked about Taranto and Hopper going. That leaves an absolute hole, very, very big hole to fill. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, true.
They're clearly in a rebuild, new coach. And I was listening to Jason McCartney's the football boss there, correct?
Yep.
Said that they were very keen to get him re-signed, as some of the lesser clubs like North Melbourne are probably circling. So I think he was a 5th pick. I think you don't get pick number 5 unless you're pretty good. So that's a throw at the stumps there, which I think.
At the risk of setting you off for the next 50 minutes, is Horn Francis eligible again?
No, he's not, but he will feature in one of these segments. Don't worry. Yeah. Brownlow and Coleman. But yeah, no, we'll go to so Brownlow, or did you want to do surprise All Australian before Brownlow?
Okay, let's do surprise All Australian. Yeah, I just got excited by the Dacos segue. But yeah, Sarah, who do you think surprise All Australian? Who's on your mind?
Well, there's a player on my mind. I'm not sure if it's so much of a surprise, but you tell me. Chad Warner. I think he's a walk-up starter at this point in time for mine when it comes to the All-Australian team. He was in the squad, I believe, last year. He's one of two Swans that actually showed up for the grand final, and he held his head really high alongside Robbie Fox. And he just came second in the Swans, best and fairest, behind Callum Mills. He's only played 39 games, Chad Warner.
He's a guy I love. Chad
I find, so, we hear that quite often it takes around 50 games for a player to kind of feel comfortable within the AFL ecosystem. He's going to hit 50 games this year, and I just think he's going to explode and go to another level. So for me, it's Chad Warner. I'm also hearing some really good things about Keziah Pickett and the summer he's had at Melbourne. Right. So maybe you could just pencil him in too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love both of those. I think Chad Warner's already there. To be completely honest, I think he's already at he has everything.
He'll be in. I reckon he'll be in Brownlow contention this year. I reckon he's so flashy out of the packs and and as you say, he was one of the only ones that showed up on the big stage. So the big stage doesn't worry him. So I reckon good pick.
Surprise All Australian for you.
Well, I sort of mentioned it before. I reckon Oscar Allen. I just reckon that if the Eagles are going to make the 8, they're going to have someone to kick goals with Darlene. I think it's going to be him. I just think now that Kennedy's gone, he's going to have to step up, and I think he will. Again, it's just a absolute gut feel. I might be completely wrong.
Yeah. My one is probably not going to come as a super surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise because when you're the number one pick, you're obviously a very good footballer. This player is in a really good environment now and not in a basket case environment. Jason Horne-Francis has an explosion and will be a startup in the All-Australian team this year. Kane Corns is going to look like a genius. He'll be attacked on Twitter every day for the rest of his life, I'm convinced. But Horne-Francis just socks up. It's a vibe. He's lock him in, pencil him in with Cozzy Pickett, Oscar Allen, and Chad Warner. We've got almost half the team done.
There we go.
Jason Horne-Francis. That's going to be interesting when
that's a massive
the Roos meet the Power.
Where is it? Are they only playing once?
I think so. Yeah,
and it's at Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a shame.
Yeah. Now Brownlow, the Chaz, the all important one.
Yeah, I've got a few names here, and look, they're not really going to shock you. I mean, it's a midfielders award, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. As it should be.
It's a midfielders award. Yeah. So it's going to be a midfielder from probably one of the better teams. I mean, you seem to be big on Melbourne, Chris. So I'm also pretty big on Melbourne this year. I think Clayton Oliver is a regular poll getter. So is Christian Petrarca. That can be one thing that works against them, is that they might pick votes off each other, but they'll be thereabouts. If the Suns are to have a better year and indeed make the finals, Touk Miller is going to poll really well again. Yeah. The one I would like to see, though, and it's from the West, is Andy Brayshaw. Yeah, I love him.
He is good.
I had a lot of reasons
such a good player.
That last year.
Yeah, and of course he's coming off the MVP where he was voted by his peers last year as the best player in the league. He just does everything right. Right. And now we know that Nat Fyfe is going to be spending more time, or almost, I think, permanently is going to be in the forward line this season. It's Andy Brayshaw's midfield now. It's go time.
Yeah, great call.
I love that. Yours?
I'm going to put my Nuffy hat on.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say...
Don't you dare.
No, I'm
Don't you dare say what I think you're going to say.
Tom Mitchell.
Oh.
Because Collingwood got smashed in clearances last year. It was our biggest Achilles heel. He's been recruited specifically to stop that. And when he plays midfield, he's just a possession pig. Like, he'll get 30 to 40 every game. And I just don't see many Collingwood players, maybe Dacos, but not many Collingwood players taking votes off him. So if he plays the role I think he's going to play, I just think just through sheer lack of people not taking votes off him, I think he's going to be right up there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine,
Okay.
we actually just mentioned him. Mine's actually Chad Warner. I have a
Wow.
lot of love in my heart for AFL footballers, but Chad Warner is one of them. Chad Warner and Errol, mainly because of his name is
Oh,
Errol.
I love Errol.
Yeah, I full love the Swan. I'm a full Swans nuffy. I think everything about the Swans is great. The grand final devastated me, but I genuinely think Chad Warner is there. He's a superstar, gets enough of the ball, he's flashy enough. Stood up in the grand final with about him and Blades of Grass are the only things that stood up for Sydney. But kicks goals, he's got that blonde peroxided hair,
Yeah.
he's flashy,
Yeah.
he's
bursting it. I love players who burst out of stoppages like that are so eye catching. So yeah, he's
Chris Judd,
yeah,
but with a prettier face.
And also you're forgetting the hair.
Yeah. Oh, the hair stands out. Like,
yeah.
If we could speak to 400 umpires and they'd all say, nah, has nothing to do with it. Then they'd behind closed doors, they'd say, shit, they're onto us. But yeah, I think he's right there. I think Sydney's going to win more than enough games. Callum Mills, obviously that's the Petrarca Oliver. Callum Mills is another superstar who'll take some votes off him. But yeah, I think at where he's sitting in the market, outside of him, Tuke Miller. If the Suns make the finals, like I'm projecting, I just can't see how he doesn't. He's not there.
Yeah,
like he has to be there.
Yeah, nice.
He's also looking ripped, Took. I saw a photo of him up at one of the Gold Coast training camps, and he had abs on abs on abs. So he's certainly in good condition.
Which is really, for guys like Tim and myself, it's hard to look at.
It's it's a reality check every day. It's a reality check. And finally, premiership. I think, like, honestly, this is, as I sort of alluded to at the start, this season is so tight. There's a number of teams who could win it. Who have you got, Ollie?
I mean, I'm still finding it hard to go past Geelong, but it's so hard to go back to back. This team's probably capable of doing it, though. I'd like to see Brisbane do it. I know, Chris, you just said you hate Brisbane, but I feel like they're certainly in the window. They've certainly gone out and recruited wisely when it comes to Josh Dunkley, who just adds a bit more grunt in that midfield. Who knows what Will Ashcroft will do in his first season. Jack Gunston, I think, is a really good acquisition for them.
Very, very good signing.
Really, really good. The only issue I have with the Lions is maybe they're looking a little bit impotent down back. We know Marcus Adams, he's on the inactive list with all those ongoing concussion issues, which are awful. So they might just be one big body short. But as you said, you could put a blanket over some of these sides, couldn't you? Like even Carlton, could they do it? Could your side do it, Budge? Could my side in Sydney do it? I mean, could Port Adelaide do it? There are so many sides.
History would say no.
There are so many sides that could do it.
Not with Ken.
You guys have any gut feel?
You said like Richmond could do it. I think Melbourne. I think Melbourne are going to bounce back big time. My picks actually is Brisbane. I was going to say Brisbane as well, just because they got over a few hurdles last year. They won a final, which they hadn't done. They won a final at the MCG,
at the MCG, which that would matter.
And I just felt they were. I don't know. Their balance was odd when they had McStay, Danaher, and Hipwood in the forward line, and now that Gunston replaces McStay, it's just a different look. And then you add Charlie in there. And as you like, their midfield and forward line are unbelievable, and they're just going to back themselves to